$100,000. That's what a modern anti-tank missile costs. $500. That's what it takes to destroy a $5 million Russian main battle tank in Ukraine today. This is not the warfare your grandfather knew. This is not even the warfare planners predicted 5 years ago. In the fields of Ukraine, a revolution in combat is unfolding in real time, and it's being live-streamed to the world. Welcome to the era where a teenager with a modified racing drone can eliminate armor that was designed to survive nuclear battlefields. This is the story of how Ukraine turned consumer technology into a strategic weapon and how it's rewriting every military doctrine on the planet. February 24, 2022, Russia launched what it believed would be a swift, overwhelming military operation. Thousands of tanks, hundreds of aircraft, the full mechanized might of one of the world's largest militaries bearing down on Ukraine. The initial Ukrainian response relied on Western-supplied anti-tank weapons, Javelin missiles, NLADOs. Effective, yes, but expensive. Limited in supply. Each shot cost tens of thousands of dollars. Each system required extensive training. But Ukraine had something else. Something unexpected. A thriving civilian drone community. Racing enthusiasts, photographers, hobbyists who had spent years mastering first-person view flight. When the invasion began, these civilians became soldiers. Their racing drones became weapons, and the entire calculus of armored warfare began to shift. By late 2022, Ukrainian forces were producing thousands of weaponized drones monthly. By 2023, that number reached tens of thousands. By 2024, Ukraine had created the world's first true drone army, and Russian armor was burning across the entire front line. Let's understand what we're actually discussing here. An FPV first-person view. Drone is essentially a racing quadcopter, 4 motors, a high-definition camera, a radio link. In civilian hands, it's used for aerial acrobatics and high-speed racing through obstacle courses. The Ukrainian modification is brutally simple. Remove unnecessary components. Add a shaped charge or anti-tank grenade. Program basic autonomous failsafes. The result? A loitering munition that costs between $300 and $800 to produce. Ukraine rapidly industrialized production. Volunteer workshops evolved into proper factories. By mid-2024, Ukraine was manufacturing over 100,000 drones per month across dozens of facilities. Some government-funded, many crowdsourced, all with a single purpose. The payloads vary. Modified RPG warheads, PG-7 anti-tank grenades, commercially purchased shaped charges, even thermite for attacking engine compartments, each optimized for specific targets and attack angles. Training takes weeks, not months. Operators, many teenagers and young adults raised on video games, demonstrate remarkable proficiency. The muscle memory from gaming translates directly to drone piloting. What military planners once considered a weakness, a generation raised on screens, became Ukraine's asymmetric advantage. Ukrainian drone tactics evolved rapidly through brutal trial and error. Early operations were experimental, drones crashing, missing targets, being jammed. But each failure taught lessons, and the Ukrainians adapted faster than Russian defenses could respond. The primary tactic is the Kamikaze dive. The operator launches from positions 3 to 5 kilometers behind friendly lines. The drone flies low, often just meters above ground, using terrain for cover, trees, buildings, ditches, anything to break radar signature and visual detection. Once the target is identified, a tank, infantry fighting vehicle, artillery piece, the operator transitions to attack mode. The dive typically begins from 50 to 100 meters altitude. Speed increases to 120 kilometers per hour or more. The Russian crew has perhaps 3 to 5 seconds to react. Russian countermeasures exist. Electronic warfare systems, anti-drone shotguns, cage armor welded to turrets, but the electromagnetic spectrum is crowded. Jamming affects friendly communications. Shotguns require seeing the drone difficult when it's approaching at high speed from unexpected angles. Cage armor? Effective against some munitions, useless against others, and it adds weight, reducing mobility. By 2024, Ukraine introduced swarm tactics, Multiple drones, sometimes 5 or more, attacking a single high-value target simultaneously from different vectors. Even if defenses eliminate 3 or 4, the 5th gets through. One hit is often sufficient. Operations continue 24/7. Thermal cameras enable night attacks. Russian forces cannot rest, cannot relax. Every minute, somewhere along the 1,000-kilometer front, a drone is hunting. The psychological dimension cannot be overstated. Russian tankers now operate under constant fear, not from artillery they can't see, not from missiles they can't stop, but from tiny machines they can barely hear until it's too late. Intercepted communications reveal the mental toll. Tank crews refusing to operate, entire units demanding reassignment. The drone threat has created what military psychologists term perpetual anticipatory stress, knowing an attack could come at any moment from any direction. Some Russian crews now abandon vehicles at the first sound of drone motors, tanks left running, hatches open, personal equipment scattered. The calculus is simple: a tank can be replaced, a life cannot. Except Russia is losing both. Russian military bloggers post videos daily, soldiers filming drones circling above positions, pleading for better electronic warfare equipment, demanding air defense priority. The Russian command structure is struggling to respond. Resources are finite, the front is vast, and Ukraine produces drones faster than Russia can deploy countermeasures. Ukraine amplifies this effect deliberately. Strike footage is immediately published. Social media channels broadcast successful hits in high definition. Psychological operations units drop leaflets over Russian positions showing burning tanks with captions, "This could be you tomorrow." It's psychological warfare integrated with kinetic effects, and it's devastatingly effective. The numbers tell a stark story. Independent analysis from sources like ARIX and open-source intelligence communities document thousands of Russian armored vehicles destroyed or captured since February 2022. In early 2022, drones accounted for approximately 5% of Russian armor losses. By late 2023, that figure reached 30%. By mid-2024, some estimates place it above 40%. Drones have become the primary anti-armor weapon system on the Ukrainian side. This has direct operational consequences. Russian armored advances that once covered kilometers per day now measure advances in meters. Tank-led assaults, the cornerstone of Russian doctrine, now result in catastrophic losses before even engaging Ukrainian defensive positions. Consider the assault on Vuhledar in 2023. Russian forces committed an entire brigade, dozens of tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, artillery. Within 48 hours, drone strikes had destroyed or disabled over 30% of the armor. The assault collapsed, the brigade withdrew. Similar patterns repeated across the front. Russia's industrial response has been to accelerate tank production and refurbishment. Factories operate around the clock. Storage depots are emptied. T-62s from the 1960s are returned to service. But production cannot match loss rates. For every tank Russia manufactures, Ukraine destroys 2. Western military analysts now speak of a fundamental shift. The tank dominant for over a century may be entering obsolescence. Not immediately, not completely, but the era of armor as the decisive battlefield weapon is ending. And it's ending in the wheat fields of Eastern Europe, killed by devices that weigh 3 kilograms and cost less than a smartphone. The implications extend far beyond Ukraine. Every military on Earth is watching. Every doctrine is being rewritten. The United States has accelerated its counter-drone programs. China is investing billions in autonomous warfare systems. NATO is conducting urgent capability reviews. Ukraine continues to innovate, long-range strike drones targeting Russian logistics hundreds of kilometers behind the front, naval drones attacking warships in the Black Sea, integrated systems combining reconnaissance drones, strike drones, and electronic warfare in coordinated packages. What began as volunteers taping grenades to commercial quadcopters has evolved into sophisticated, industrialized, asymmetric warfare, and it's changing everything. The global defense establishment faces an uncomfortable truth. Decades of military planning are suddenly outdated. Hundreds of billions invested in heavy armor platforms now confront an existential question. Can tanks survive on a battlefield dominated by cheap, ubiquitous, precision-guided drones? The response is taking shape. Directed energy weapons, lasers capable of burning out drone electronics, advanced electronic warfare systems creating localized jamming zones, AI-powered point defense systems detecting and engaging drones autonomously. But these solutions are expensive, complex, and still years from widespread deployment. Meanwhile, military budgets are being reshuffled. The U.S. Army is reducing planned tank purchases. European NATO members are investing heavily in counter-drone capabilities. The lesson is clear. In modern warfare, quantity has a quality all its own, and small, cheap, numerous platforms may defeat large, expensive, few platforms. Legal and ethical questions are emerging. Autonomous weapons, civilian infrastructure used for military drone production, the blurred line between combatant and non-combatant when a civilian can become a drone operator in hours. International law has not kept pace with technological reality. Ukraine has pioneered what analysts call total societal mobilization for asymmetric warfare. The distinction between military and civilian sectors has effectively dissolved. Universities research drone improvements. Tech startups pivot to defense production. Volunteer networks coordinate with formal military structures. Russia, despite massive resources, has struggled to counter this approach. Centralized command structures move slowly. Innovation is stifled by bureaucracy. Corruption diverts resources. And critically, Russia underestimated Ukraine's capacity for technological adaptation until it was too late. The precedent is set. Any conflict going forward will feature drone warfare as a primary, perhaps dominant component. Non-state actors can now acquire capabilities that previously required nation-state resources. The proliferation risk is immense. The defensive challenge is daunting. Ukraine has demonstrated that in the 21st century, ingenuity and adaptation can offset numerical and technological disadvantages. But in doing so, they've also opened Pandora's box. The weapons they've perfected will spread. The tactics they've pioneered will be copied. The revolution they've initiated cannot be reversed. In the end, the story of Ukrainian drones destroying Russian tanks is about more than military tactics or technological innovation. It's about human adaptability in the face of existential threat. It's about ordinary people, engineers, hobbyists, students, becoming warriors out of necessity and transforming the nature of warfare itself. The operators are not celebrating, they understand the cost. Every destroyed tank represents lives ended, resources wasted, families shattered. But in a war they did not choose, they've found a way to fight back effectively with the tools available. History will record this period as a watershed, the moment when warfare definitively entered the drone age, when armor lost its supremacy, when the barrier to entry for precision strike capability collapsed. The implications will shape conflicts for decades. Ukraine has written the textbook. Other nations, allies, and adversaries alike are reading it carefully. The techniques pioneered in desperation along the Donbass front are now being studied in command centers from Beijing to Washington, from Tehran to Brussels. A $500 drone, a $5 million tank. In that disparity lies a fundamental truth about modern warfare. Technological sophistication matters less than adaptability. Resources matter less than innovation. Size matters less than speed. The revolution is not over, it's accelerating. Every day, new capabilities emerge, new tactics develop, new threats and countermeasures evolve. Ukraine's drone war continues, and with it, the reshaping of 21st century combat. The future of warfare is not coming, it's already here, and it arrived on 4 small propellers, guided by a 19-year-old volunteer over the fields of Ukraine.